In this video, I'm going to take a look at the PROZOR PST 139. The 139 is a 192 kilohertz Bluetooth DAC, Bluetooth transmitter and receiver combo. In the box, we have a user's manual in color, which I think is kind of classy. I haven't seen that in a long time. We have a USB 5.2 millimeter power cord. This is approximately 39 inches in length. Nice little Toslink optical cable, about 39 inches in length as well. And then, of course, the Bluetooth antenna with an SMA style connector. On the front of the unit, we have a volume control. We have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, status LED indicator, LED indicators for various codec modes, receive and transmit switch, TX1, TX2 pairing buttons. On the back of the unit, we have our 5-volt DC input, our SMA female connector, Toslink optical input, coaxial input, left and right analog RCA outputs. As you can see, they're labeled backwards. However, at least they've got red to right and white to left. Little rubberized feet on the bottom. This unit is approximately 3.5 inches in width, 2.5 inches in depth, and about 3/4 of an inch high. It's in an all metal enclosure. This seems to be a steel type enclosure versus aluminum, and it's screwed together, and I really like that. I like the construction of it. The knob, the volume control I should say, feels very sturdy, not a problem. The volume control here operates as a control for the headphone jack as well as the RCA outputs. This has a rated output of 9 volts RMS on the RCA analog output side of things. However, it's, in my opinion, not that much. I'm going to say it's probably just a hair over the rated standardized 2-volt RMS output, maybe 3 volts maybe. This is Bluetooth 5.0 technology, so it's going to have really good distance. In testing this in both transmit and receive mode, I was getting easily 40 feet, and it would go throughout the house without a problem. Okay, it's very flexible, and I like that it's flexible because I can use this as a transmitter or receiver, obviously, but I could also use this as an outboard DAC. One use that you could use this for would be to, say, hook up your TV. If you have optical output on the back of your TV, you could plug this into your TV and use this as kind of a handshake. So you could hook this up to maybe a vintage receiver or something like that, or an audio video receiver that just doesn't have optical inputs. So that's not a problem. So I like the flexibility of that. Okay, here's the deal. The sound quality. I mean, I'm going to put all the technical stuff in a link down below. You can go on Amazon and check it out. This comes in at, like, I think I paid $42 for this, $42 or $43 and change. I just wasn't very happy with the sound. So I'm going to really make this a short video because, you know, this is Bluetooth 5.0, and this sounds like old school Bluetooth, like 5-year-old ago or 5-year ago Bluetooth technology. This has very sharp, ultra high treble. It has a very forward and almost annoying mid-range in some cases, and then a lack of low frequency response, or a lack of bass. That's probably the best way to put it. That shows up going through the headphones and coming out the analog RCA output. When I hook up headphones to this, I'm using 47 ohm headphones, and it's just distorted, just doesn't have the oomph. It'll go plenty loud, believe me. This is rated for use, let's see, to be used with headphones less than 32 ohms. And it'll drive 47 ohm headphones to a pretty stout volume, quite honestly. However, it's just distorted and just does not sound good at all. So, yeah, I'm not all that impressed with it. At $42, I mean, you know, I get it. Some of you guys are probably like, oh, yeah, you know, that's pretty cheap. Well, you know what? There are some inexpensive Bluetooth units that do the same thing that sound considerably better. So stay tuned for that video. I'm going to put this up against the My Pin that comes in at $25. So anyway, it didn't cut out, no picket fencing or anything like like that. Like I say, range was no problem. If you're going to use this unit for maybe just an external Bluetooth speaker, I would say you're going to be okay doing that. Maybe if you hook it to an audio video receiver, you may or may not notice that lack in low end. But yeah, on my old vintage stereo system, I've hooked this up to my Marantz units. I've hooked this up to my Technics units, and it just doesn't have the oomph. Just doesn't have the low end. So I'm not all that happy with it. There was also another issue. When I was listening through the headphone jack, when I turned the gain control or the volume control up at just around 6.5 or 7 here, it would start chopping and cutting out, almost like a motorboating sound. And I thought that was maybe by using a AC wall adapter that maybe wasn't powering it up sufficiently. But when I put it on my big power supply and ran it that way, it was still doing it. I listened to it for several hours, and it was somewhat painful, but I listened to it for several hours on the analog RCA outputs. And then I came back to it later on with my headphones, and it wasn't choppy anymore. So I don't really understand why it was intermittent like that. But yeah, come on, you guys can do better than that. All right, please leave questions or comments down below, and thanks for watching.